Welcome to Sincerely Bhakti. My name is Bhakti Lata. In today's episode, we are exploring how to harness the wild power of the mind. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 34, with commentary by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Kṛṣṇa, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. So Kṛṣṇa is giving instructions on how to meditate upon him. He is the Supreme Lord. But Arjuna is offering objections. He's saying, this system that you described is unendurable. It's impractical. The previous verse, Arjuna was objecting, and he's continuing to object in this verse by saying, the mind is restless, it's turbulent, it's obstinate. I can't control it. Trying to control it is more difficult than controlling the wind. Now, if you've ever seen like a windstorm, that's like impossible to control that windstorm, but he's saying it's even more difficult than controlling a windstorm. So Prabhupada begins his purport by saying the mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. And the mind, the heart, the emotions are so strong. And maybe you can relate with this experience that sometimes the heart overrides our intelligence. We know it's the wrong thing to do, or we know we shouldn't be doing it, but our heart does it anyway. We make decisions based on the heart or just what we want, or our desires, or whatever the feelings dictate us. We just follow those. And so Arjuna is recognizing it can be very obstinate. When the mind is fixed on something, it will just do anything and everything to justify that path. The function of the mind is to accept and reject. So when you reject something, it's almost there's nothing that can convince you to accept it, and vice versa. And the function of the intelligence is to make distinctions. And the subtlety, what is the distinction between things, helps us to guide us on the right path. So sometimes acceptance and rejection is just so gut, it's so instinctual, it's very intense. So now we're wondering here, okay, it's very obstinate, it's difficult to control. Then what do? We're in a dilemma here, right? We can have all this elaborate system of yoga to help us connect to God, but if our heart is in the way or our mind is troubled, then it's pointless. And Arjuna says it's impractical and even unendurable. So Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport that the easiest way to control the mind, all right, you want to hear this? The easiest way. What is the way? As suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa. So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility, realizing I'm not in control. I can't do this on my own. I need your help. Oh Lord, please help me. So Prabhupada continues to say the method prescribed, one must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. So the mind is acceptance and rejection. It's also a function, it's to get absorbed. The mind can be so absorbed, almost like when you lose track of time. That's the mind, right? That's not the intelligence, right? The intelligence is active, making distinctions and what's the logical thing to do next. But when the mind is engaged, it's so powerful. We just lose track of time and we're so absorbed in something or someone that it just takes over, right? And so when we absorb our mind in God, in Krishna, in service to Krishna, that is actually harnessing the wild power of the mind, because the mind isn't an enemy. It can be a friend if we allow it to be. So if you imagine, again, that image of this windstorm, right? This restless wind. The windmill has been an invention for hundreds of years. And the windmill was used to power mills, right? To grind grain. And so you use this wild wind that's just constantly at play. There's no control, right? Who is controlling the wind? But you take this machine and you take a way to capture the energy and power of the wind to actually be on your side, to actually do something productive. And even nowadays, we use wind to generate electricity, the more modern windmills. So you take this wind and you can harness it. So you're still not controlling it, right? You still can't say that the wind that blows across Southern California or northern Mexico that powers all of these wind farms is being controlled, but you're harnessing it. And so actually the word mantra means man is mind and tra means to control. And so mantras are meant to control the mind. And so we can also understand that it's about harnessing the mind to be absorbed. And so when we're absorbed in Kṛṣṇa, it's ultimately about absorbing the heart. It's absorbing the emotions that I love you, Kṛṣṇa. I just want to serve you. And you're here in my heart and you're everything to me. What's more powerful than love to absorb the mind? Just falling in love. So we can use that power of the mind to become absorbed, and that is truly liberating. There's something so refreshing about letting the mind become absorbed in something higher than us, more beautiful, more powerful, more wondrous. So this Hare Krishna mantra is like that windmill that harnesses the power of the mind and allows us to become elevated and connect to God in the most beautiful way. So those are my thoughts on this verse about harnessing the wild power of the mind. Thank you for tuning in. Hare Krishna. See you next time.